Today, we're going to dive into one of the most profound and, let's be honest, often misunderstood ideas in all of psychology, Carl Jung's concept of the collective unconscious. But this isn't just some abstract theory. Think of it more like a journey into the very architecture of the human soul.
Just let that sink in for a second. What if the stories that give you goosebumps, the symbols that feel so ancient and familiar, and yeah, even the nightmares that haunt you, what if they're all part of a shared, universal inheritance? A kind of psychic blueprint that connects you to every single human who has ever lived.
So to really get this, Jung asks us to picture the mind as having two layers. Now, on the surface, you've got the personal unconscious. This is all you. It's your story, forgotten memories, feelings you've pushed down, all the unique stuff from your life. But if you go deeper, beneath all of that, you find something far older, bigger, and way more mysterious, the collective unconscious.
Okay, so if there's this hidden blueprint inside all of us, what does it actually look like? What is it really? Let's zoom in and get a good, clear definition.
Here's the key. This isn't something you learned from a book or from your parents. It's something you are born with. Jung described it as the deposit of all human experience, stretching all the way back to our most ancient beginnings. It's not about your personal memories, but about the universal patterns, the psychic residue left behind by all of our ancestors' lives.
And it's so important to get this. We're not talking about some dusty old archive in your head. Jung saw it as a living, breathing, interconnected web. So when you pull on one thread, maybe it's a symbol in a dream or a myth that really speaks to you, you start to feel the pull of this vast, ancient network that it's connected to.
And for Jung, this was absolutely not just some cool philosophical idea. No way. He was completely firm that the collective unconscious was an empirical reality. He believed he could actually see its effects directly, through the patterns that kept showing up in myths, in religions, and, most importantly, in the dreams of everyday modern people.
Jung had countless cases of this. He had patients who would dream of these incredibly complex mythological symbols they had no way of knowing about consciously. One really powerful example he wrote about was a 10-year-old girl whose dreams were full of these profound, ancient creation myths. In one dream, she saw a single drop of water, almost like through a microscope, and inside it were the branches of a tree. She called it the origin of the world. Now, how could a child just dream that up? For Jung, there was only one answer: the collective unconscious.
All right, so if the collective unconscious is a shared blueprint, what's it made of? How does it actually speak to us? Well, the answer lies in what Jung called the archetypes.
Archetypes are basically the fundamental building blocks of this shared psychic world. Now, they aren't specific images or fixed ideas. Think of them more like empty forms or innate tendencies that get filled in by our own personal lives and culture. They're the universal blueprints for all the classic characters, situations, and symbols we see over and over again.
Jung gave us a brilliant analogy for this. You know how a bird doesn't have to learn how to build its very specific nest? It's just born with that instinctual pattern? Well, he argued that it's the same for us with these psychic patterns. We're born with these archetypes that shape how we instinctively understand universal concepts like mother, hero, or danger.
So, let's look at a few of the big ones. You've got the hero. That's our universal struggle to grow and overcome the odds. Then there's the shadow. That's everything we deny about ourselves. It's our dark side, sure, but it can also be a hidden source of incredible creativity. You have the trickster, that primitive, disruptive force that loves to shake things up. And for a man, there's the anima, the inner feminine image that deeply colors his relationships and emotions. You've seen these patterns everywhere, from the oldest myths to the latest blockbuster movies.
And here's the crucial part. These are not just literary devices. When an archetype gets activated in your life, you know, that feeling of love at first sight, a sudden, undeniable call to adventure, or an irrational fear, it can feel like you're being moved by a force that's way bigger than you. Suddenly your life takes on this symbolic, almost fated quality.
So, why does any of this matter? What's the point of knowing about all these ancient forces stirring inside of us? Well, for Jung, this wasn't just some intellectual exercise. It is the absolute foundation of real psychological growth. Understanding this inner world is what puts us on the path to wholeness.
The ultimate goal here, the whole point of this journey, is something Jung called individuation. It's the lifelong process of becoming who you are truly meant to be. And it's not about becoming perfect. It's about becoming whole by making the unconscious conscious and weaving all the different parts of your psyche together.
This journey usually has a few key stages. It often kicks off with encountering the shadow, really facing those parts of yourself you've pushed away or denied. Then comes the work of integrating the anima or animus, your inner masculine or feminine counterpart. And all of this work ultimately leads you toward the self, which is the organizing center of your entire psyche, the true core of your being. And please remember this. It's maybe the most important takeaway. Individuation isn't about erasing your flaws or becoming some kind of perfect person. It's about creating a living, breathing dialogue between your conscious ego and the vast, ancient wisdom of the collective unconscious. It's about becoming a complete, integrated, and truly unique individual. And once you start looking for it, you see these ancient truths everywhere. They're in surrealist art that tries to get past our rational minds. They are in the recurring plots of our favorite movies and stories. They're in the power of religious rituals. And, most intimately, they're in the symbols that bubble up from your own dreams every single night.
So the question Jung really leaves us with is this. You've spent your entire life learning the ins and outs of your personal story, but are you brave enough to look deeper? Are you ready to discover the ancient universal story that has been living inside you all along?